Hello everybody. Next up it's the penultimate game of the season as we head up to the Midlands where we'll be hosted by West Bromwich Albion. Kick-off is at 8:15pm, so be prepared for a late one if you're watching it on Sky Sports or in the company of the old lags of Eyes Up Mother Brown. So the baggies then. Well, that proud boast from Allardyce that he'd never taken a club down from the Premier League didn't last that long, did it? They've won just the 5 games all season, which is actually one fewer than Sheffield United at the time of writing. I guess that a manager who's as fond of the use of statistics to prove a point as Allardyce is, will point to the fact that 80% of their wins have come under his stewardship. Of course, those of an equally statistical bent would probably point out in return that since the last of those wins, a 3-0 win over a less than impressive Southampton, they've gained just 13.333 recurring percent of the points available to them. Those 2 points both came in local derbies, courtesy of a 2-2 draw away at Villa and a 1-1 draw at Wolves. The other 3 games resulted in a 3-0 defeat at Leicester, a 3-1 loss at Arsenal, which on 9th of May confirmed their relegation, and latterly a 2-1 home defeat to Mike Dean, who once again twisted a match to his own ends without the slightest hint of any investigation into his actions taking place. I guess we're at the stage now where if he managed to get through a complete 90 minutes without doing anything wrong, it would constitute a major surprise. All of this leaves them in 19th place, with 26 points from 36 games played. They're 6 points clear of Sheffield United, who could, in theory, still catch them on goal difference. They're also a point behind Fulham, with whom they will also be travelling to less exotic climes next season. Incidentally, they've been stuck in 19th position since November, when they briefly hit the rarefied altitude of 18th place, following their Sol Bilic-inspired win, a 1-0 defeat of Sheffield United. Bilic's departure in December was followed by the swift arrival of Allardyce, who, lest we forget, was originally from Dudley. Unsurprisingly, Allardyce wanted to mould the team in his own image. His first signing of the winter window was none other than Robert Snodgrass, who, thanks to some sort of deal, was left out of the squad for the reverse fixture back in January, having just signed. He will miss this game as well as the result of a back problem that may require some sort of surgery if he hasn't already gone under the knife. Daisy, the socially distanced, support-bubbling personal assistant with a beautiful smile, tells me that Snodgrass was but the first arrival of the winter window. Andy Lonergan came in from Stoke on a free on a short-term contract to bolster their goalkeeping options, though he has yet to make an appearance since putting pen to paper a mere 24 hours after Snodgrass. There is some humour to be gained from the forenames of 2 of their loan signings, Mbaye and OK Yokuslu. If you stretch a point, it sort of reads maybe and OK, which sums up some of the hopeful punts our co-chairman has tried in the transfer market over the years. Striker Dean has netted 3 times in 14 since his arrival from Galatasaray in January, though it remains to be seen whether a season in the Championship next term will be to his taste once his loan spell comes to an end. As for OK, whose parents displayed a certain lack of ambition on the naming front, he's an experienced midfielder who has over 20 caps for the Turkish national side. He's come in from Celta Vigo, and again his future in the Midlands looks uncertain after these next 2 games. The third loan signing was Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who has made 11 appearances for Arsenal prior to his deadline day switch to the Hawthorns. One would presume that the player had one eye on getting some first-team appearances under his belt in advance of the forthcoming Euros. Either way, he's one who definitely won't be turning out on a wet Wednesday in Preston this time next season. Top scorer this season has been the Brazilian Matheus Pereira, a striker who has on occasions shown that he might be a decent punt for a team with a little bit more aspiration to being half decent than his current employers. 2020-21 was the first full season at the Hawthorns for Pereira as a permanent signing, having spent the 19-20 campaign on loan from Sporting Lisbon as part of the squad that gained them their ultimately short-lived promotion. Tired of them? Yeah, me too. So let's move on, shall we, to the wild and wacky world of association football. A petition with over 100,000 signatures has been raised in favour of having some sort of an independent watchdog to supervise the game. There would have been more, but they had to discount the X's from Millwall and Spurs supporters. It's a good idea, mind, and one that would be even better if some oversight of PGMOL could be included. It would be great to see the smug look disappear off Riley's face as he finally has to explain exactly why things have gotten so bad under his stewardship, not to mention exactly what it is he, or if not him, whoever else it is that's the highest paid director, actually does for what appears to be £198,700 a year plus pension contributions. Meanwhile, over at Tottenham, just as they suddenly come out of the woodwork, having been hiding under a stone all season, one of their own decides he'd rather be one of somebody else's own. A stark reminder of the fact that even if they were any good, they'd still be Tottenham.
You just got canned.
There was some strange move this week from the Football Hall of Fame. Now, quite apart from the rather vulgar Americanisation of the game that such a concept suggests, this week's new entrants show a rather strange set of values. On the one hand, in Cantona, albeit a fine player, he's more remembered for an altercation that would have seen him face a stadium ban had he been the supporter, not the player. Indeed, as we all know these days, life bans are handed out for much less than what Cantona did. On the other hand, there is Roy Keane, who deliberately set out to injure a fellow professional footballer whilst having admitted to playing with a hangover. As I say, odd set of values even for football. And so to us then. Well, great though it was to see Declan back, the strain of playing the last few weeks with a threadbare squad was all too evident. It was almost a continuation of the Everton game, as the skill and invention that one needs to break down an obdurate defence were all too noticeable by their absence. The manager's pre-match press conference for this game may have raised an eyebrow or two whilst talking about close-season recruitment. Pointing out that there was little in the coffers to spend, Mr. Moyes suggested that he didn't really know what was going to happen, adding, "If we're good enough for Europe, we might decide we need extra players, we might not." Now, I've seen this club over many years get to the verge of great things only for a lack of investment to see things come crashing down. Truth is, if we don't make Europe this season, it will be partly down to our form over the past few weeks when injuries hit the squad hard, and partly down to the fact that we've had to play for much of the season with no alternative for Antonio, who himself is only a converted striker in the first place. The solution to those problems may be complex, but it certainly doesn't lie in the phrase, "we might decide we need extra players, we might not." We do, David, we do. Still, clutching to the hopeful straw as one does, if it's a given that we won't have much to spend, that should suggest that no fee would be incoming for Declan. Or if there were, it would all go on debt repayments. Forget that one then. Back to the week, and it was good to see Benrahma finally troubling the scorers. Splendid finish too. He's had a lot to cope with from being in a position where it would appear that the manager is unconvinced by him. Possibly a bit of internal politics in there as well. Hopefully the goal will remove one of the burdens from his lot, and he'll be able to show more of what he is supposed to be about. On the injury front, it's pretty much as you were, with Arthur and Lanzini being the only pair on the sick. Lanzini looks a definite no-show, whilst there might be a small chance of Arthur being on the plot at some stage. So we're as at full strength as we possibly can be at the moment. The result will therefore depend on the mental fitness in the squad as much as the physical. Although an Allardyce team will always be looking at the avoidance of defeat as its priority, something that we've struggled with of late, one big captain's speech from Dec, make that two if Nobes chips in, should give them the 240 volts required up the backside to overcome a side that, for all their awkwardness, are a little bit short on quality. So the £2.50 I was going to put towards arranging a petition to have Sepp Blatter installed in the Football Hall of Fame will instead go on a close away win. Make it 2-1 to us, please, Mr. Winston. Enjoy the game.
Yes. And big knees up Mother Brown, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm regularly on the general discussion page. There's always someone who's got some information, so I love it. Yeah. It's great. Yes, it's excitement surrounded by imminent disappointment. That's what it mostly is.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you irons.